What's going on, guys? It's Midnight Sun here, and we're going to be going over why you were wrong about The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Most people know Skyrim from the memes that are being made of it, the "Hey, you're finally awake," which we're going to see here shortly. But I also think Skyrim is a game that touches the hearts of a lot of people. If you've played Skyrim, that's a pretty normal experience, and usually you've formed an opinion on it. If you haven't played Skyrim, however, then you're probably going to get a bunch of shocked reactions from everybody around you asking, why haven't you downloaded the game yet? You know, or is it too expensive? Did you wait for it to be on sale? Anything of the matter like that. So one thing that I do like about Skyrim is the ability to move around in this kind of opening scene. The first time I played the game, it took me forever to realize that I could do that, and just staring over at Rayloff over here. And I kind of appreciate that aspect of it because this is an old game. Yes, Rayloff, we are awake. So one thing that Skyrim does a very good job of is this opening scene is very iconic. It's very well known. It introduces you a little bit to who our character is, but without providing too much information that makes it hard to select other characters. We get involved in the Civil War right off the bat here, which kind of leans towards, siding with the Stormcloaks for the initial playthrough. I don't really like joining the people who try to cut my head off. But as you dive more into the game and you learn more about the lore of Skyrim, then you might find yourself switching sides and saying, okay, well, maybe the Empire isn't all that bad.
No care of Rorikstead. No, I'm not a rebel. You can't do this. Halt! You're not gonna kill me. Archers!
To be honest, I'm not really sure what that guy's plan was. Even if he did escape, Skyrim is well known to have so many things out there that are wanting to kill you. And for a guy who's got not a septum to his name, as well as his hands tied, it's going to be pretty hard. But we're moving into something that every single person has very strong opinions on. In terms of what you play over here, I think I played everything except for the Redguard and the Wood Elf, which might have a lot of people in the comments, up in arms over that. Lately, I've been playing as a Khajiit. My initial playthrough was with the High Elf, and secondary ones were the Bretons. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with the Thief Khajiit, just because most people end up being a stealth archer, so that's the way that we're going to play it. Now, the customization features in Skyrim are okay, and when it first came out, it was... everybody spent, I think, like 20 to 30 minutes just on their character and going through here and actually customizing it to look just right. Now, with these other races, there's not too much to it, and you can tell that it is an old game. But I do think that it gives, at least it gives you the option, right? It gives a decent way for you to add some customization to it. Now, what I don't like is that you are spending the entire game covered in armor, so it doesn't really matter too much what you look like. And if you're like me and you play Skyrim in first person, then you never see your character ever, and you don't want to spend too much time here. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish and name my character right there. I don't know, let's see if we can even name him something. My computer doesn't want to type. Oh, there we go. We got it fixed. Okay. We'll give him that name.
You with one of the trade caravans, Khajiit?
A little racist, but we'll roll with it.
Captain, what should we do? He's not on the list.
Now, I think most people, when they were playing this game, it was highly anticipated, this moment. Everyone was really excited. But after playing this multiple times, I'm kind of like this guy going to the block, which is, let's just get this over with, okay? I do not want to do this intro another time. And it wouldn't be an issue if playing Skyrim was something that you could do for so long. Jesus, you scared me.
Sorry. You literally just said I don't want to do this again, so it's like I didn't want to interrupt you, but I might be leaving, so...
Okay.
I'm sorry.
You're good.
I need to change my shirt.
Okay. That was my wife startling me.
was in life.
I'm not as fearless as this guy. Okay, where did I leave off there?
Did you hear that?
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, doing this intro over and over again, it makes me want to just skip to the end, which is why normally after finding the race that I want to play as, I save after this intro, and if I want to start a new game, then I go in and play the new game from this intro. The other aspect of it is that every single time I play Skyrim, I get very far into it, you know, doing one or two of the faction quests, doing a couple side quests, getting a pretty good character going. Then I get bored and stop, and then I have to restart the game because the beginning of the game is exciting and where we get the most power and the most levels. So with that being said, this intro is probably one of my favorite introductions to a character and to the scene. Seeing that dragon is absolutely phenomenal, and quickly moving through these areas here, learning how to move. There's actually a little cutscene down here that I never actually stayed and finished because I just wanted to get through it and run through all this stuff and get on through. So I don't bother with most of these little interactions now, but when we first played the game, very exciting. What's up, Baldwin? We'll see him later. Now, I'm sure there's faster and more efficient ways of doing this, but this is just the way that I've ended up going. Now, here we get to choose between the Stormcloaks and the Imperials, I believe. And it absolutely does not matter what you choose. It helps you for the armor that you have. The game makes it seem like a huge deal. And I was sitting over here pausing the game and looking through, you know, online forums. Hey, which should I choose? You know, how important is it? Only to find that nothing comes of it. Okay, you can teleport. And there's those famous Skyrim bugs and glitches. Okay, so let's start to focus on some of the positives of Skyrim. Now, their interaction with the bodies and stuff like that you go around and find, even the, you know, barely clothed people that they have, is okay. It definitely is one of those things where, you know, they didn't necessarily have to do that, but it is an adult game, so might as well, you know, have some of those moments. And it was absolutely hilarious the first time I saw that happening. I was very unprepared for it. I think I started playing Skyrim when I was around 12 years old as a child. And now we come into a little bit of a ridiculous aspect of Skyrim, which is their combat. Now, I'm going to do this in third person mode just because it's a little bit easier to kind of see how wonky it is. These guys should be able to see us. They don't react until they actually get through the door. And then the swing is just so slow in terms of, you know, reaching left and right over here. And again, this is an old game, right? So some of it is to be expected, but it's not something that is going to last for a long period of time. As this game ages, the combat is going to feel more and more clunky. And the combat system in general, you're going to be wondering, hey, why can't I dodge? You know, why do people in Skyrim seem to be able to dodge me, but I can't dodge them? None of the combat in the beginning is particularly challenging as well. You can just run around here and mash the R2 button and nothing's going to hurt you, which is fine. It's hand-holding and it's supposed to be doing that in the beginning of a game. Okay. Now let's start talking about some of the faults of Skyrim. Their control system isn't necessarily intuitive. There's some buttons that you would expect to do different things. Now you can remap. Oops, I'm joining the Stormcloaks this time. Forgot about that. Anyways, it's somewhat intuitive in certain aspects, and then in others it is not. But you can go in and change it if you want to. I haven't found anything in Skyrim though that it needs major changes. The lock picking here is so simple and nice, but at the same time it makes the lock picking tree almost useless, which sucks because there's one or two things I think in the lock picking tree that I don't mind actually investing in, but the aspect of making lock picking easier makes the lock picks boring. when you get the skeleton key and you can just run around and pick whatever chest as long as you want to, or when doing the torch trick and stuff like that, it just trivializes an aspect in the game that otherwise is very fun the first couple times you do it, and when you successfully get those locks picked, you feel like a champion and a master level thief.
Orders are to wait until General Tullius arrives. I'm not waiting to be killed by a dragon. We need to fall back.
So that guy who doesn't want to wait to be killed by a dragon is a smart soldier, and one who would survive if we weren't here. Now you can light these things on fire, which again is something that maybe as a first time player you wouldn't know, and as a veteran you're going to come over here and do all of this kind of stuff. You're going to take their bows and start out your stealth archer build right away, nice and early. Now this game, I talked about it being easy. If I crank up the difficulty, these soldiers can absolutely kill me, and I've got to actually play it cautiously and use some spells and healing from a distance. But we don't want to take an hour to kill a soldier on a video where we're just talking about everyone's wrong opinions on this game. Now I don't know why I bother looking through their loot. I know exactly what they have. They have the same thing that they always do. Now here's where Skyrim starts to get a little too extended, or a little bit too long in my opinion. We've kind of learned the gists of most of the combat, and having us walk through each of these areas and stuff to get introduced to the game is a little extended. I don't know another word to use other than that. The water in this cave and stuff like that here doesn't look very good, and the lighting here is alright. At least you could see your screen. It's not too dark. We come around the corner here to find the nightmares of pretty much everybody, these spiders, which we don't like at all. Okay, low stamina, we don't care about that. And we get our first kill cam, which is my least favorite thing in this game. When the kill cam first showed itself and I saw, you know, like an arrow going across the screen and hitting something, it felt kind of satisfying. But then to watch my arrow miss after going halfway across the map towards a troll as it's running towards me, I get locked in this animation where I'm staring at the troll and it's coming towards me and I'm just following this arrow. I wish there was an option to turn it off. You know, that would be something that would be ideal. But we can't do that. Yes, I see the bear. It's kind of hard to miss. Okay, and here is where we run into the first major issue of Skyrim. Now, this is our buddy, and he is immortal. No matter how often you hit him, he doesn't react, he doesn't do anything, his health stays about the same, right? And he's sneaking, so he's not going to move forward from this area. Which means that if you go behind him and you do a sneak attack on him, the game will register it and start leveling up your sneak. Now, I'm not sure if it'll do it with this rather than the dagger. Okay, well, there's our one-handed going up. So you can keep doing this and leveling up over and over again. I've done this until I was a sneak level 100 by moving him all the way back over here to the rocks and hitting it. And I thought, wow, this is the best thing ever. I can start out with this max level sneak. And then all the enemies around me were way too powerful, and then I wasted a lot of skill points and skill levels because I couldn't really do anything other than sneaking. So it's not my favorite thing anymore, is the fact that that's something you can take advantage of, and it ruins the game. It just ruins the whole playthrough and feel of it. And that's not even the worst thing in this game when it comes to that kind of stuff. So we have our perk points. And our skill tree here. And one thing that Skyrim does do is it lets you kind of go through and really invest in almost anything here. This is where your class is important. We could see that since I was a Khajiit, my sneak is a little bit higher at 25 compared to light armor at 15 and archery at 20, right? 25, 15, 15, and so on. So it would make more sense for me to maybe invest in something like, you know, sneak, since I've got a little bit higher points on it, which means I can get to the next level a little bit faster. Requires 30. But one thing that everybody pretty much does is they end up needing sneak for multiple aspects of the game, which means that I can't just go around and be a mage and be a pure mage and have it fit throughout the playstyle of the game. I can't go around and be a pure warrior, right? And then not have moments where sneaking would be advantageous to me. So because of the benefits of the thief skills, most people end up leaning into them because they're so useful in other aspects. It's not very balanced. So I'm going to go ahead and put the point into sneak. Now I can go right by this bear even without that, but I don't like to because that's for children. So we're just going to run up and start hacking the slash in the bear. Rayloff will help us, I'm sure. Okay. So the first time I did this, I think I shot him with an arrow for a good sneak attack. And we're finally done with the main part of the game, moving through to the exiting area. Now, at this point, once you exit here, Skyrim does a good job in actually letting you go wherever you want to go. No, we do not like survival mode. Okay, that is the worst thing in my opinion. So we get to see where we get guided to right over there with the dragon flying towards it. But here I can dip. I don't have to listen to this guy's conversation whatsoever. If I stick with him and follow him towards the town, that would be beneficial to me as well because it's going to kind of naturally funnel me over to the main quest. But I can just go all the way up that way. I can go to the right. I can go over to the 1,000 steps and start climbing the mountain right now if I wanted to. The game doesn't limit you and say like, hey, you know, we're done holding your hand. We had you do the first mission and that's it. No more. Okay. Now we're going to go over to our first little bandit camp, which I didn't know was here until probably like my third or fourth playthrough. They're very polite in letting us get very close to them before trying to kill us. And this guy's stuck in his wood chopping animation, so we're going to take advantage of that too. I actually do want to be a hero one day. I'm glad they noticed that. It shows I've got what it takes. Oh my gosh. That was so rude. Get headbutted 40 times. Guess I'm not a hero after all. No, I do not want to do survival mode. So, we see what happens kind of in Skyrim. You know, you get a little too cocky, you die. I think that's probably the first time I've ever died in the opening scenes here against one of these monsters. Now, part of the reason for that is because I think I haven't actually looted anything like I'm supposed to or really equipped anything. Yeah, still wearing all of my novice stuff here. So having a little bit of armor there probably would have helped out the situation just a bit. And then normally I'm an archer and I run over here and I shoot people from a distance. Now I'm going to do my best to see just how long I can avoid the stealth archer route, but we'll see. Alright, let's try this again, and maybe we'll use some of our healing potions and actually back away from the people who swing the giant weapons at us. Alright, revenge from last time. Okay. So, and we see the second thing that can kind of be an issue with Skyrim, which is that deaths don't really have any consequences. As long as we're saving the game often, run through a dungeon, die 40 times, it doesn't matter. There's no penalties, there's no loss whatsoever. And in some ways that could be a benefit, but it would be nice to kind of see just a little bit of a loss, you know, hey, you lost 1,000 gold, you know, or something like that. Or hey, you know, you dropped a pack or something, you know, in one of these areas. That's a personal preference thing, to be honest. And now we have the book system. If I go ahead and read this, it's going to level up my one-handed skills. So the abuse of the skill system in Skyrim is something that should be discussed. We talked about the sneak earlier, where if you crouch behind that guy and hit him, you can level up your sneak to 100. Now, leveling up to 100 in this game, if you were to play the game normally, it should take probably 60 hours of normal interactions with the skills. And to have that in, you know, 5 minutes or less is astounding. It truly is. Okay, we've got our little early bonus starting loot locations. I think one of those guys has a map on them too, if I'm not mistaken, for one of these treasure chests, but I don't really care about it at this point. Instead, we're going to make our way over to the Guardian Stones, which for veteran players will actually come back here and select the stones, and then whenever they want to level up something else, they'll come back over here and select the other stone that benefits them the most. Or if you, like me, you say, hey, I'm going to focus on primarily these skills, and I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to forget the Guardian Stones exist. So now I know I said I was going to go the warrior route, which makes more sense to have the warrior skills, but there is a thief skill that I have to get right away, which is the pickpocket skill, Extra Pockets. That's because all of these dungeons in Skyrim are filled to the brim with so much junk that I just cannot seem to resist picking up, which means that I need all of the extra storage and space that I have and possibly could have. I also put a point in magic earlier, when I probably should have put some into stamina or... Okay, well, you don't gotta run away. Okay. And there's that kill cam I hate again. Okay, this is another little early game location that a lot of people like to go to, which is Anis's place. She's evil, don't trust her. Or, you know, maybe I'm evil. It's kind of hard to tell at this point. But I'm gonna go with she's evil. Okay, I don't know why it's stealing when I, you know, murdered her. Alright, let's see how we're doing for lockpicks again. So once again, lockpicking, incredibly easy in this game. Very intuitive as well. It doesn't seem to be anything overly confusing. Now we have the enchanting system. And enchanting is the way to get the absolute strongest in this game by disenchanting things and learning the enchantments to make your own gear. Once you start crafting gear in Skyrim, that's when things start truly taking off. Now, the most annoying thing about enchanting is that almost all of the other skills have certain tricks and techniques to level them up faster for the impatient player, which is me. But enchanting does not. So enchanting is just about getting as many filled soul gems as you possibly can, and then getting as many probably gold rings as you possibly can, and enchanting the most highest costing item that you can over and over and over again. It's incredibly boring. There's no fun to it whatsoever. And I'm pretty sure 90% of players hate leveling up their enchanting. I don't think I've ever seen anybody after reaching level 100 in enchanting reset that skill because they said, hey, I'm going to level this up again. And then the other aspect is alchemy. And alchemy is the absolute best way to get gold in this game. And the reason for that is because you saw there those flowers and stuff that I picked were free. And I got this potion. It's worth 188 gold. Probably less than that when I actually go around to selling it. But as I collect certain rare items and plant them in a garden, then I'll be able to collect, I think, probably about 100 ingredients. Again, absolutely free, right? They're just planted and we just wait a couple days for them to grow. And the potions will be worth about 500 gold a piece. I can go to the stores and then I can sell them over and over again. Something must have happened to this guy. Hard to tell what. If only we could read. Okay. So there are, like I said, some little hidden gems in Skyrim, which make it nice. That little town over there is the first village that most people end up going to. There's a hidden treasure chest over in this tree here usually. Now I really want that blue flower because it's a really good enchanting potion ingredient. And I'm not sure if you have to interact with the map to find the treasure chest here. Yeah, I believe you do, since it's not here. So if I had gone back to that camp earlier and looked at the treasure map, the treasure chest would be here. Because I didn't do that, no treasure chest here, even though I know it's there. Kind of annoying. You know, I don't want to find the maps for these places every single time. We got a nice little fox to accompany us. And we get to go through here to the main quest area. So if we talk to Faendal, he'll be a very useful follower who we can abuse repeatedly over and over again. But I like being honest, so I go over here and I talk to Sven. So he asks me to talk to Camilla, and instead I tell her the truth.
I've seen him sneaking over to the
So this is kind of the first,
You may be right.
I don't know, optional quest you'll probably get in this game.
It's full of venomous. What?
And it's to help out Sven or to help out Faendal, and we do that by talking to Camilla over here, and we either talk to Faendal first and give the fake letter, and I usually, again, I like telling the truth, so I say, hey, you wanted to trick you.
Oh my. Thank you for telling me the truth.
And the weird thing is after doing that to help out our buddy Faendal, we can still come back and actually marry this girl and have Faendal as our follower, so we can make him cuck for life. Alright, let's find out what happened here.
An ornament. You could? I've got some coin coming in from my last shipment. It's yours if you bring my claw back. Now, if you're going to get
And we get started with the golden claw. Now again, the golden claw quest is going to bring you up the mountain, right over there. And the main quest is going to bring you up the mountain over there. So the second time somebody plays the game, they'll probably come here, get the golden claw, and then go up the mountain, do that quest, and then they get some interesting dialogue with the Faendal, I want to say? No, not Faendal, I just said his name. I cannot remember his name. The court wizard over in Whiterun.
Alvor can help you out. It's my meal. Of course.
Okay.
What's this all about? What are you
Let's see what we can rob from her that's any good. Okay, you actually had some good stuff.
It would explain what I saw. I don't know. Things just go. The Jarl. We need to get word to Jarl Balgruuf in Whiterun to send whatever troops he can. If you'll do that for me, I'll be in your debt.
Okay. Not really up to you, girl. Okay, so now we've officially started the main quests in Skyrim. Now, notice how despite kind of completing some of these objectives and some of these quests, we didn't get any experience. That's because doing any quest in Skyrim will not give you any experience whatsoever, which means that all of your leveling is locked into your skills. So to level up the one-handed skill, we have to go and swing a one-handed weapon over and over again at an enemy. As we gain skill levels, then we gain actual levels, which will give us skill points, which we can invest in our magic, health, and stamina, as well as putting the points into the skill levels themselves. So because there's so many ways to abuse this in this game, in probably 45 minutes or so, I want to say, I can reach level 80 or level 90 in Skyrim, and I can run around and one-shot everything. Now, once you learn how to do that, the game becomes excruciatingly trivial. Nothing is a threat to you. Your health and stuff like that is something like 2,000 health or 3,000 mana. You can cast spells over and over again. You know, you've got gear that's worth 25, 30,000 gold plus. And it's definitely not how the game was intended to be played. The game's intended to be played kind of as I've been doing during this video, which is to run around, explore, right, loot your enemies, sell for the 30 gold or whatever each enemy's got on them, slowly level up your one-handed skill, watch your loot fall off the edge, and get introduced to the various diverse races in Skyrim. Now, although a lot of the interactions in this game are pretty diverse, the voices are not. Now, every single person in Skyrim will have the same exact dialogue lines. They'll say the same exact things, and the sounds that they make, every orc sounds the exact same, which is, again, a little racist, but what are we going to do about it? Okay, silver garnet ring, quick save, and then we introduce the fun part of jumping off things and seeing if we can survive. We could not. But that's why the quick save feature comes in handy in Skyrim. Since we quick saved, hey, it's like it didn't even happen. Maybe I try this again, but I go a little bit slower and hug the wall. Ooh, my health is low. Who cares? I don't want to go down all those stairs. So we're already starting to see where Skyrim has got some ways to abuse it in certain habits. I could have went and got Feindal earlier, and I could have done a follower trick where I have him train me up in archery, and then I pick the gold back from him and train up in archery and back and forth until I'm about level 50 in archery, which is again one of the main reasons why so many people become an archer in Skyrim, is because using that system and abusing it is probably the best way to get a very high level on the game. Let's see, we're gonna start stacking a little bit of stamina here, and let's see, where's my magic? This way. Ah, my left D-pad button is not working, so I'm gonna have to use my analog stick. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the magic system. Currently I've equipped a healing spell, and that way if I get shot at a bunch I can always panic and run away and start healing. Healing is also one of the most annoying skills to level up in Skyrim as well, and it seems to be that the developers of the game thought about balance and then decided that balance was the worst thing imaginable. And in some ways they're right, because every single person who plays Skyrim will find a way to abuse, you know, what's there, and when they do so, it's a pretty fun thing to do. Now, going through this starting dungeon, again, is supposed to be very slow. We're supposed to actually look around and see the scenes around here. We're supposed to engage in the puzzles, and we do that for the first time we play the game. But the game has been out for 13 years. It's got a special edition. It's got an anniversary edition. It's available, I think, on like the Switch or even Google Home, if I'm not mistaken. So it's available everywhere. And all of these bugs and annoyances that I just listed are still in this game. That absolutely blows my mind. There are broken quests in this game that seem like they should have an ending, particularly in the northern area, and they don't do it. There's a Daedric artifact in the College of Winterhold with some rings on it that simply cannot be interacted because the quest was broken. Now, most people who had something like that happen would be a little embarrassed and would go in and say, hey, let's fix the quest and, you know, make it work again. But this guy will kill himself if I don't save him, so I better go save him. He didn't appreciate me. Okay, let that be a lesson. Do not pull random levers, especially when the easiest puzzle in the world, right? Snake, snake, whale, is right in front of you. Just look around the room first. Okay. And then we get going. So, well, that was weird. Didn't know you could do that. We were talking about the aspect of all of these bugs and stuff in the game and how Bethesda decided to still not fix them. I wouldn't mind if it was something that rarely happens, right? So in the beginning of the game, the intro, there's a part where you could possibly have a horse get into the frame, and it's honestly somewhat hilarious. The Skyrim giant bug, where the giants fling you up in the air, unintentional, but absolutely hilarious. So if something like that were to happen and they left it in the game or they didn't bother fixing it because, you know, it's not that big of a deal, fine, right? But the restoration bug, the broken questline bug, I've had things where I couldn't finish a faction quest, you know, 30 hours into the quest, simply because I couldn't interact with a person who was stuck. Now, when you're on PC, this stuff can be fixed, but if you're on console, it's very annoying, and often you'll hear people say, oh, well, just restart to the last point, you know, that you had this person, you know, working. And at some points, that could be 30 hours of gameplay if we're just quick saving, which is what I feel most people end up doing. Since then, I've started hard saving every single chance I've got, not in this short video that we're doing here. Okay, Magicka's running low. We cut down this little thief who runs around and tries to escape. Believe it or not, I've actually left the golden claw on this dude's body before after getting all the way to the end. Because I've done this 30 times, and at a certain point, you know, I'm bound to mess up and make some mistakes here. We get the Draugr in here. The Draugr are pretty fun to see them come out for the first time, right? Having your first Restless Draugr is great, but then when you get a bunch of Draugr overlords yelling Fusro Da over and over again, it's just incredibly annoying. Hey, back up a little bit, buddy. Back up. Just a little bit further. Like right there. Yeah, step on that. Come on, buddy. It's right here. Thank you. So, now it sounds like I'm hating on Skyrim. I am not. I actually really love this game, and there's a reason that I keep coming back to it over and over again. Because despite all of the annoying bugs, despite the, you know, inconsistency in some of the skills that you can choose, it's a highly addictive game to come in here and get these first couple levels, to have the Draugr, to get the loot, to unlock your first houses, to complete some of these quests. When you click on a Draugr and they have like a flawless ruby or something like that on them after just a short little 2-minute fight, it's exciting. Getting these early game skills is exciting. What I don't like is that I feel almost compelled to restart Skyrim every, you know, 2 months or so, despite progressing really far into the game, simply because the end process, I cannot remember what I was doing, where I'd been. Sometimes I want to have a different, you know, person over there. There's a chest up there, by the way. Sometimes I want to interact with quests in different ways. You know, I complete some of the, what are they called? Sorry, I just had to do that real quick. Like Molag Bal, Daedric. That's what I think they're called. The Daedric Prince quests. Doing those... Oh, I probably should have been paying attention to my health there just a little bit. So now we get to see probably one of the worst things that's going to happen, which is, drum roll, boom, back to the start. All right. So I've got through that whole dungeon, and at this point, it sent me back to the beginning because I didn't quick save. And I did that kind of intentionally. I was just trying to run through the beginning of the dungeon, you know, like a casual player would, and getting into probably the worst feeling in the world, which is being reset and having all of that progress started. At one point, I think I did this dungeon 4 times because my game got corrupted and it reset. And then I shortly went through the thing, and then I had to delete Skyrim because something wasn't working, had to re-download it. So the process of that happening, I don't know why there's not a quicker save in this game, you know, as you go through some of these areas, or hey, every time I level up or something like that, just give me a little quick save or something. Now, that is entirely avoidable because we can just boom, save, right? It takes all of 2 seconds. But it's still gonna hurt the new player. Now let's talk about some of the improvements in Skyrim. So one thing that's infuriating to me is the merchant's gold in this game. They carry, I believe, 5, let's see, I think they carry like 1,000 gold or 750 gold or something like that in the beginning of the game, which gets destroyed, or not destroyed, gets emptied incredibly fast. Their inventories are the tiniest things that you can imagine. They barely carry anything, and if they do carry things, it's not stuff you actually want. The things they do want are incredibly overpriced and ridiculous. And it's something that could have been fixed incredibly easy. And how do I know this? Well, because there are modders who actively work on this game and actively try to improve the game to make it better for the average person, you know, playing the game. Now, most people get into modding, and if you're like me, you know, you'll go straight to the merchant gold and say, hey, I want all merchants to carry 5,000 gold, right? Oh, it's like, oh, here's a cool race you can play as, you know, add some diversity to the races. That sounds fun. I'm going to go ahead and start playing that. So you kind of start out with some of those things. And then it starts to get a little bit more, and all of a sudden we're making it so we have absolutely infinite carry weight. We do infinite damage. We start the game with 600, 700 plus health. We, you know, have an alchemy chest in the corner there. We have new followers who are funly voiced and stuff. It starts to stack up pretty fast in that regard. And then it gets progressively worse by learning about mod packs and downloading something like Elder Gleam. I do not want to start this quest. So this is something else that's kind of frustrating. I didn't even interact with anybody over there, and I've got a quest log now for that location. I really try to do quests as I get them. I like going to an area, completing a quest, and then going back, getting my, you know, small reward or whatever it is, and then starting a new quest. Because if I go over to, let's see, my quest journal here, this is understandable for me. I don't mind this, right? Okay, I've got a couple quests, right? One or two things. When you start getting to the end of the game in Skyrim, it's not even actually the end of the game. When you get 20 hours into Skyrim, if you look around the quest log, you'll probably find 60 quests, as well as, you know, 15 main story quests, the Dragonborn DLC quests. If you've got that in your game, the main story quests will be in there, the faction quests will be in there, and it just overwhelms somebody. I look at that and I don't know what to do because I can't pick where to start. And instead I just focus on skills. So most of the time Skyrim is spent leveling up your skills over and over and over again. I go through and I say, okay, I'm gonna do smithing today, and we're gonna go do the dwarven bow trick, right, where I go and scrap a bunch of dwarven metal, and I do that over and over again. And then my smithing's level 100. I craft the best gear that I can out of the 30,000 dragon bones that are in my inventory. And then after doing that, then I say, okay, now I'm going to do alchemy, and I level up my alchemy to level 100. And then I say, okay, cool, now I'm going to focus on conjuration for the bound bow, and I'm going to do that over and over and over again. And after doing that, I want to say about 10 times maybe or so, my character starts to become really strong, and I've only done 10 quests in the entire game, about a level 60-ish character. And at that point, Skyrim just becomes boring. Even doing mods and stuff like this, that in this game, Skyrim becomes boring. It reminds me a little bit of Minecraft in that sense, where no matter how fun the game is, and no matter how, you know, fun it was to complete it the first time, you can't play this game over and over and over again and still get the same level of excitement as when you first played. Now, probably what everybody wishes they could do is somehow end up in a coma, get some amnesia, memory loss, you know, just of the time they played Skyrim, and start playing it fresh again, because that's when this game truly shines. So we're on to our farming simulator over here, where we can start the quest to unlock the farm. And they've added this in the Creation Club content in the Anniversary Edition. And if we go through here and complete all of this farming stuff, it makes it so we can come back and collect 10,000 gold every few days. If we go over to Murwatch and we plant some ingredients, it triples, I think, the rate that we get back for the ingredients, which makes making money with potions incredibly easy. There's still a cap in terms of how much you can get, because you can go and sell it to a merchant for 1,000 gold and then reset their inventory by stabbing them, you know, after quick saving the game and loading it back in really quick. And you can get 100,000 gold, but there's nothing to buy with the gold. There's never anything that's actually important in the game. Occasionally you want some enchanted items to disenchant them to learn the crafting recipe for that. We can go through here and kill the dragons. I never like starting the main quest, because after killing my first or second dragon, which is really exciting and fun, I cannot stand these dragons. They are my least favorite thing in the world. I absolutely despise them. So, overall, Skyrim, in my opinion, has got... Let's take a first player review of it. If you're a first player playing Skyrim, Skyrim probably rates a 8 out of 10 on my part. It's an incredibly fun game. It really does captivate you, and it's going to at least do a couple hours of being sucked into the game before you start to say, okay, maybe I should stop for a second. There's a lot of really fun and exciting quests in this game, which this one right here, you know, is something that almost everybody does, but it's a fun little quest, and if you actually go through and read what happened here, it adds some depth and is a little interesting. But there's also some annoying parts of it, because if you're somebody like me who just grabs things and goes, you're not gonna find what to do or where to go next and stuff on here. So like right now, I cannot for the life of me remember what the next area or the next part of this quest is, if we have to go upstairs or something like that. Yeah, now we have to find the old well. So most people would go out here and look around the nearby place and say, okay, well, there's probably something over there, you know. It's like, maybe it's over here. This is where I went immediately, you know, when I first got it. But it's all the way over there by the trees, which, again, you might be able to tell by actually reading those papers and stuff. But if you don't, you're going to end up looking up a video. And online, there's probably about 40,000 videos on Skyrim explaining the game and explaining basic things, why quests aren't working, you know, why doing this is more efficient, you know, Skyrim, the best start, you know, in the game. Skyrim hidden quests are things that we didn't know about, you know, over and over again. And I think that's a sign that a game is not very well made. I probably have a wolf behind me, don't I? Okay. It's not very well made, because the games, any game, you should be able to give to somebody who's got at least a decent understanding or concept behind games, and they should be able to play it from start to finish with maybe one or two minor things to look up. And those things should be kind of common sense things where they say, oh, okay, I could have figured that out as long as I, you know, looked over in this corner more here, or if I read this book or something like that. Skyrim is not one of those games. Skyrim is not an intuitive game to play. It's also a game where once you play it around somebody else, you'll be in your ear and say, hey, did you know you could do this? Or, hey, did you know there's this thing over here? Or, oh, if you do this instead. Which can make it very frustrating to the new player, because it's just so much information to take in. Now, let's talk Skyrim for the veteran player, right? Somebody who keeps coming back to this game. Despite liking this game, Skyrim gets a 4 out of 10, in my opinion, because I keep getting tricked into the special edition and the anniversary edition, thinking that something major is going to be added to this game.
Hold on to it. I'll be back for it later. I'll pay you good.
Huh.
Don't lose it.
Pretty rare interaction.
No time to talk. Snitch or double cross me and I'll kill you. I mean it.
Honestly, it feels like Todd Howard trying to sell me Skyrim again. But I'd be foolish enough to do it, because what we all want is, we don't want Skyrim, we want Elder Scrolls 6. And recently, with the Oblivion remake, all of a sudden everybody's flooding back to these games again, you know, and they're saying like, oh, okay, you know, these were great games, these are awesome games. And you know, I think they are good games for when they came out, but we need something new. We need something entertaining. Dude, how did you not see? Okay.
Did you see someone run past just now?
Yeah, and so did you. He's right there.
Great. Thanks. Bastard stole from me. I'll catch him though.
Oh, okay. Don't know why you needed me to point that out. And for Bethesda, the people who made this game, I mean, come on, like, what is this? Right? I'm sure making a game is hard, especially back then, but you've had 13 years to work on the game at this point, and you're still getting some interactions like this. And I know, you know, it could be better, because I've played a highly modded Skyrim before. You know, I've gone through and it felt like Elder Scrolls 6. It felt like an entirely new game. Now, the reason that still didn't captivate most of my, time is because despite it feeling like a new game in terms of the combat, how people looked and interacted with each other, it's the same quests. You know, I'm doing the same mage's faction quest. I'm doing the same, Dark Brotherhood thing over and over and over again. I've even done some alternate things. I've destroyed the Dark Brotherhood and killed the Dark Brotherhood instead of joining them. And it just doesn't land anymore because despite the fact that I can go so many different places into this game, there's still not a way to encourage me to do these quests. Right? Because the leveling is locked behind the skills, because I don't get points for doing these quests, you don't feel very satisfied for them. Now, there are a few quests, right, that are pretty good, and they do give you some decent rewards, like getting some followers and stuff. And then there's the most annoying quests in the world, like the Crimson Nirn route, that no one ever wants to do more than once in their lives, for a very, very poor reward. So all of this is just to say that if you love Skyrim and this is your favorite game, that's great. But are you sure that this version of your game, this favorite game you are having, isn't just the younger version of yourself getting the enjoyment that they had out of it when they first played? Are you still carrying that same enjoyment when you play this game? Or is Skyrim just a comfort piece for you? Is Skyrim something that, hey, I'm bored, I don't have any other games, Skyrim's in my library, so I'm going to click on it and I'm going to go through and I'm going to play the first opening act, the Dragonborn. I'm going to try and do something different until I default into the Stealth Archer. And then I'm going to get bored, I'm going to stop the game and I'm going to go away, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do it all over again. Right? Is that what Skyrim is to you? Because that's what it's starting to feel like to me. And now we finally get to see our character for the first time since making the game. So that's going to be it for me for this video. Have a good one.